Hey guys, Lynn Thomas. Another episode of Holy Grail Finder Live. Well, yesterday when we visited, I promised that I was going to come back and do part two of the medical insurance for Christian home business owners. If you've not watched my live from yesterday, you're going to want to go and do that. But pay attention here in the next few days on my blog post at holygrailfinder.com. Because I'm going to put up yesterday's live into a blog post with more information, and today's as well will be a separate blog post with some more information. So, watch that next week at holygrailfinder.com. But, yesterday when I talked with you, I shared with you what medical insurance is and what it is not. Today I'm going to be covering something different. Hey, Danielle. I'm going to be covering what the options are for home business owners. Now, I want to make sure that there's something really clear right now at this point. I speak to home business owners. That's what I do. My job is for people who want home businesses or who have home businesses. I'm not here to tell anybody what they have to do or need to do for their family. I just have certain knowledge, and I'm happy to share that knowledge. So that's what I'm doing here today as we look at options. So when we're talking about medical insurance for folks who are in the home business industry, I'm going to go ahead and lay out some options. I don't really consider one of them truly a viable option in most cases, unless you're very successful in the home business industry. Because the first option with any medical cost question would be self-insurance. And that really only applies to people who have, the 7-figure incomes, because in order to self-insure, you have to have that level of income. And there are people who do, okay? But for most people, the vast majority of home business owners, we're not talking about that level of self-insurance capacity. So then you're looking at one of two other options primarily, if we're not considering nothing as an option. So the second option would then be traditional insurance, and that may or may not be a viable option for your family, whether it's a cost issue, whether it's, you can't get coverage because of whatever, or you just, really don't like the conscience violation problems that go along with a lot, if not all, insurance policies. Some of that may be changing, but long term, you have to consider that question for yourself and for your family. So the third option that a lot of folks in the home business industry have started looking at is Christian health sharing ministries. And guess who's come over to say hello to me? One of the great things about working at home and working live is my baby boy does come over and see me on occasion. So he has done that, but he doesn't want to come on camera. So what I'm going to start with today is 3 case studies to illustrate and help you to decide, kind of what's best for you and your family. And we'll talk about then exactly, what is a Christian health sharing ministry and how do they work. So case study number 1, we're going to call family number 1. Okay, this is husband and wife who have a large family. And let's say they have 9 kids. Okay, and originally, the husband was in a traditional job, and his employer provided medical insurance. Despite the fact that he was able to get traditional coverage for his family, they were not able to afford to pay for the coverage for husband, wife, and the children that they had, as they went along. So they had to make a sacrifice and cover just the husband and wife. They did eventually go on and learn about a Christian health sharing ministry option, and that became especially important as their family was growing and when he left a traditional job world and became self-employed. Okay, so that's family example number 1. Family example number 2 is a smaller family of 5, mother, father, 3 kids, and he actually works a traditional job. Oh, Shakespeare's going to come say hi, baby? You come say hi? Okay, well, he's behind the camera. Works a traditional job, but they actually also have issues with that option because of conscience issues. And they don't want to take that traditional insurance coverage because of their conscience issues. So they looked into a Christian health sharing ministry option as well. Third example, third family is single family option, single parent, and just wanting to be able to recover from having lost Cadillac policy insurance with Obamacare, not wanting to pay the fee that would go along with trying to replace that, and not wanting the conscience violation issue as well. So if you're not familiar with the Christian health sharing ministry, before we delve into the pros and cons using those family examples, what is a Christian health sharing ministry? Well, very, very simply, a Christian health sharing ministry is when people of similar beliefs come together and they share in the cost of each other's medical expenses. Okay, so let's look at what that means in real life with these examples. So family number one that I mentioned, husband, wife, and 9 children, when they learned about the Christian health sharing ministry option, they decided to go with that option because they were able to cover their entire family for less than $600 a month. And at the time, I think it was actually less than $500. I think it's gone up a little bit since then. So they were able to have every single one covered. Under the traditional insurance with her husband in the old job, the children were never covered. They had to always find other ways to cover their kids. So, and when she's had multiple children since they've been on the plan, since they've been through the Christian health sharing ministry, then each of her pregnancies was fully paid for. They didn't have that financial concern. Family number 2, when they decided to look at that Christian health sharing ministry, they actually had to kind of look at it from a different perspective, because Christian health sharing ministries, they're not required to admit you to membership if you have a pre-existing condition that is not waived, if you will, under their guidelines. And so there are a couple of different ones that, they say, for like a year or whatever, they won't cover anything associated with that. So family number 2 had to decide, well, do we go ahead and join in membership and then, have the next year we pay for that coverage? Family number 3, which by the way is me. When I lost my Cadillac insurance policy because of Obamacare, and I decided I was not going to pay what it would cost to replace it, I researched and looked into Christian health sharing ministries. And I'm happy to tell you which one I use. When you go out on my blog post the next few days, and I'll have a lot more information in the blog post that'll be associated with this video at holygrailfinder.com. But when I looked at it, I was looking for something that was reasonable in price and that would basically allow me access to whatever doctors I wanted to see, that would allow me to have whatever treatments I needed, that would allow me to get prescription drugs with some help financially. And, I have found that. So pros and cons, this is how it works. When you go to your doctor as a member of a Christian health sharing ministry, you are a cash pay patient. Okay, it is not like with traditional insurance where you present your insurance card and you don't pay anything more than probably a copay and they bill your insurance company. Most Christian health sharing ministries don't have anything close to that. Mine does. Mine has a program where when I go to see a doctor, the doctor's office submits those charges to a benefit processing service, just like they would if it was an insurance company. And then that benefit processing service sends information to me telling me what that service is worth. And then I communicate with my doctor. And they know, the doctor's office knows, I tell them ahead of time that I'm a cash pay patient, that I have a Christian health sharing ministry. And I have never yet found a doctor, and I have been through some pretty big stuff in the last year and a half, if you know anything about what's gone on in my life. I have never found a doctor yet who was not willing to say, oh, okay, and they submitted the charges to the benefit processing service. When I contacted them, they were very patient. They waited for the processing service. When I contacted them to say, okay, the benefit processing service says this is the amount that is approved, they have not only said, okay, that's fine, yeah, that's fine, we'll take that as payment. A lot of times they've been willing to do better than that. So that's the service that I use. Not all, believe me, not all of the Christian Health Sharing Ministries have that benefit processing service. So the ones who don't, you then are the one negotiating with your doctor's office as to what the charges will be worth. So it is a step for you to do that. Some people see that as a pro, some people see that as a con. Okay, that's entirely up to you in the way that you look at your medical care. Okay, so prescription drugs. Most of them come with a prescription drug card. It's not exactly the same as the one you get with a traditional insurance program, but I've had the pharmacy forget to process my drug card. So I've seen that it's a tremendous cost difference when I have it processed through that drug card. So Christian Health Sharing Ministries do come with that option and with that benefit. Another benefit and another part of a Christian Health Sharing Ministry is, like I mentioned, with the family of 9, they get all of them covered for less than, in the case of the one that I know about, less than $600 a month. So that family then, when they go every month to pay their premium, what they're doing is they're sending their premium to another live human being, because the Christian Health Sharing Ministry has sent them directions on how and who and how much to pay. And it's their monthly share premium is what they're paying. They're sending that out. That's how most of them work. Again, I'm not trying to cover every single different permutation of every single different Christian Health Sharing Ministry, because there are several of them, and they've been around a long time, by the way. They're not new, in case you don't know that. They're just more prominent since Obamacare. So you send a check to another live human being every single month. That person receives that money and knows that another person is helping to pay your medical costs. It's really a powerful testimony, and it's really a very powerful reinforcement of the Christian obligation to bear one another's burdens. That's the reason they do it that way. We are sharing each other's burdens. Another benefit, and it's a pro, I think, for sure, is there's no insurance company between you and your doctor deciding what care you're entitled to receive. If your doctor says it's medically necessary, you get that expense covered. So the family with 9, family number 1, the wife has had many children, and because she's had some problems in her pregnancies, if the doctor says that what she needs in her pregnancy is something she needs in her pregnancy, that expense is taken care of. And that's extraordinary. It's not something that you see across the board in traditional insurance companies. A con, something that a lot of people would probably have difficulty with or be frustrated about, in addition to being your own advocate and negotiating with doctors for pricing, is that there is a deductible. Usually most of these Christian Health Sharing Ministries have deductibles per incident. So it's not per year like in traditional insurance companies, it's per incident. I actually think that and the pre-existing condition issue and some of the other little features I've mentioned that some people might find frustrating, those are things that the Christian Health Sharing Ministries probably need to work on and are working on. But regardless, you add all that up together with the pros and the cons, there are just a lot of things that for those of us who want options to help with our medical costs, it can be a great avenue for you. Okay, I think that's probably kind of what comes to my mind today as highlights. Again, I'm not trying to cover everything here today. Feel free to hit me up with questions if you've got them, put them in the comments, or if you know me, message me directly. I'm happy to tell you what I know. And again, watch my blog post, my website, HolyGrailFinder.com. Next week, I'll get these up with some more links and. But go out and research on your own. Take a look at those, see for yourself what's right for you. I'm happy to share the one that I use. I've been doing that now for almost 3 years, and so I've got a track record and I've got some experience. But I do love that it opens up care and opens up for people who don't have means. This is not limited. If you don't have the means to pay for medical care, you can be part of a Christian health sharing ministry and get an awful lot of financial help. And I forgot to mention that a lot of these Christian health sharing ministries, they have multiple ways to get your costs covered. So even if it's something like a pre-existing condition that's not covered, they have other opportunities to get those costs paid within the membership. Whether it's through a foundation or it's through, they call them different things, but prayer needs that they go ahead and send out to people. And people, because they just want to help other people, will send money even if it's not part of their premium that month. So, that's another thing that needs to be shouted from the rooftops. It's not just about paying your premium, okay? And these groups also have prayer support. They have all kinds of different things, health surveys that go along, online support communities. There are lots of different things that come with these Christian health sharing ministries that can really make a big difference for home business owners. So, all right, guys, I think I've talked enough for today. I've got to run off because I've promised some folks that I'm going to do some stuff for them tonight, and I want to be a person of my word. But listen, if you're not on my newsletter, go to HolyGrailFinder.com, sign up, or send me a message with your email, and I'll get you on. But it's great to be talking with you, and let me know if this has been helpful to you. I hope all is well with you and your business. God bless you, and don't forget to go light your lamp.